Hey Yogi Warriors, how's it going? Emily Warrior here. Today I have for you a yoga flow for the spine. So we're going to move through some spinal waves today, which are really great to help increase mobility and flexibility in the spine, reducing common lower back pain, pain in the shoulders, and just kind of help reduce the chances of us injuring ourselves in our daily activities, whether you work seated or you do a lot of physical labor. This video is great for everyone today. We all could use a little bit of loving in the spine, so that's what we'll do today. When you're ready, come join me on your mat and we'll just get straight into it. So our most commonly practiced spinal wave in yoga is our cat-cows. So we'll start off by warming up the spine with some rounds of our cat-cows. So bring your hands shoulder width apart, knees are hip width. And we'll want to pull that navel in towards the spine a little here. Lift up through that pelvic floor. And as we inhale, we're moving up the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. So the movement starts from the tailbone. So on our inhale, lift the tailbone up to the sky. The pelvis tilts down, belly draws down to the mat. Chest and chin starts to lift up. As you exhale from the tailbone, tuck the tailbone, pull the belly in and round the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. The chin comes to the chest. Inhale, lifting that tailbone up, belly starts to draw down, and we wave up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Lift the chest and chin. Exhaling, tucking the tailbone, pull the belly in, rounding the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Going nice and slowly here. Inhale, belly draws down, waving up, lifting the chest and chin. Keep going with the pace of your breath here. We want these movements to be really nice and slow, that we can be mindful and aware of each movement in each vertebrae. Inhale, lift the tailbone up, belly draws down, lift the chest and chin. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, rounding the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Slightly pressing the mat away from you here to stretch the shoulders. Inhale, belly draws down, lift the chest and chin. Exhale, rounding the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Last round. Inhale, belly draws down, lift chest and chin. Exhale, rounding vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, come back to your neutral tabletop position. We'll move through our cat-cow to child's flow, which again is another nice wave in the spine, just slightly different kind of flow. Again, it's nice to explore different spinal waves in the spine so we can find what feels good for us. And again, these different exercises, if you will, help to do work all over the spine. It's good to include a range of different spinal waves. So on our inhale, we'll draw the belly down, come into our cow, and sink the hips back to our child's pose. The forehead comes to the mat. With an exhale and a rounded spine coming back up to your tabletop into your cat. And continuing with the breath. Inhale, belly draws down, lift the chest and chin and sink it back to your child's, creating a flow with your breath. Exhale, round the spine, come up to your tabletop and continue. Inhale, coming into your cow, sink it back to your child's. Exhale, rounding the spine, cat. Inhale, cow, sink it back to your child's. Exhale, coming back up. Inhale, sinking it back. Exhale. Inhale. 2 more rounds. Exhale, coming up. Inhale, sink it back. Wave up the spine. Lift the chest and chin. Exhale, round. Last one. Inhale, wave up, sink it back. And exhale. Coming back to your neutral tabletop. Great. Then we'll come into our downward facing dog. So tuck the toes under and lift the sit bones up to the ceiling, coming into your downward dog. And just take a moment to paddle the feet here. Stretch the legs out. And then we'll come into some spinal waves. So to begin our spinal waves, we can lift up through the heels. So press the toes into the mat so we lift the heels up high. The sit bones reach up into the sky. We can slightly start to shift the weight forwards. And as we do that, we're rounding in the spine. As you inhale, bend the knees, lift the sit bones up, and wave up through the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. The heels can then come down towards the mat. We'll try that again. On your inhale, lift the heels up, round in the spine, pressing the mat away from you. Inhale, bend the knees, wave up the spine, lift the chest and chin, and come back to your downward dog. Inhale, lift the heels up, rounding the spine, leaning forwards. Inhale, bend the knees, and roll up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, rounding. Exhale, coming into your cow. And back to your down dog. One more time. Exhale, lift the heels, round the spine. Inhale, bend the knees, draw the belly forwards, wave up the spine. Come back to your down dog. Beautiful. And then just take a moment to paddle the feet here, stretch the legs. On your next exhale, gently bring the knees back down to the mat. And we'll finish with one last nice spinal wave. So don't worry if you didn't really feel like you got a grasp of the spinal waves in the downward facing dog. That's okay, that just comes with practice. It's a bit more of an intense spinal wave. So don't worry if you feel like you weren't quite sure with that one. Just keep practicing. You'll become more familiar and more aware in your body what's happening. So just keep practicing. So our last one, we can either do this on the hands and knees or we can do this from our downward dog. But we'll start from the hands and knees. So as we inhale, we want to shift the weight forwards. We can take the knees back a little, shift the weight forwards and start to draw the hips down towards the mat so we come to our upward facing dog. Exhale, bend the knees, lift the sit bones, belly draws down. Exhale, rounding the spine, coming into your cat. And the hips draw back down towards the mat, creating a little wave in the spine. So as we inhale, bend the knees, draw the belly in, coming into your cow. Exhale, rounding the spine, drawing the pelvis back down towards the mat. Feel that nice decompression in the spine. Inhale, pull the belly in, coming into your cow. Exhale, round the spine, lean forwards. The pelvis draws back down to the mat. One more time. Inhale, pull the belly in, coming into your cow, back to your tabletop. Exhale, rounding the spine, drawing the pelvis back down to your upward dog. And then exhale, bending the knees. We can continue with our tabletop cat-cows to upward dog flow. Or if it's within our practice, we can come to our downward dog. And as we inhale, lift up through those heels, round the spine. As you inhale, draw the pelvis down to the mat, come into your upward facing dog. Untuck those toes. Exhale, bending the knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips back up to your downward dog. And continuing with that flow. Inhale, reaching forwards, sinking those hips down. Lift the chest and chin. Exhale, taking it back to your downward dog. So if this feels a little bit too much in your spine today, come back to the hands and knees and continue with your flow. Okay, we'll just take a couple more rounds. Inhale to shift the weight, draw the hips down to the mat. Exhale, taking it back. We'll make this our last one. Inhale, shifting the weight, coming into your upward dog. Lower those hips down to the mat. Exhale, bend the knees, taking it back to your down dog.
Just take a breath here. On your next exhale, gently bend into the knees, lower them back down to the mat, untuck the toes. And with the knees together, bring the arms down by your sides so we come into a nice child's pose. A nice release in that lower back after all that work we've done. Just take a moment to relax here. Maybe close the eyes down. Maybe tuck the head in a little bit more, creating a little bit more rounding in the spine. One more breath. On your next inhale, bring the fingers under the shoulders and just gently press into them so we come to sit up on the heels. And there we have it, our nice spinal waves today, our spinal wave yoga flow. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Hopefully we're feeling a bit more loosey-goosey in the body now, a bit more mobile, a bit more flexible. If you enjoyed that, maybe leave me a little comment below. You can always like the video and save for later. And of course, subscribe to my channel for more free yoga content. Thanks again for joining me, guys. I hope to see you next time.